Hi everyone, my name is Marissa Burke and this is my health education teaching project. My topic is on vaping and e-cigarette use among adolescent students. My intended project was supposed to be at Stout Middle School in Dearborn, Michigan, to a group of 7th grade students whose ages varied from about 11 to 13 years old. The students were both males and females, and their race and ethnicity varied. However, many students and many people in the Dearborn community are of Arab American descent. The topic that I chose was vaping and e-cigarette use among adolescents, like I discussed. The reason that I chose this topic was because I feel that it is becoming more prevalent, especially among this specific age group. I believe that many teenagers think that these products are considered cool and can be peer pressured into using them. I also believe that they are not properly educated on the dangers that are associated with vaping and e-cigarette use. So my thought was to educate the group of 7th grade students so they can make better decisions and hopefully choose not to use these products. When I was conducting my research, one fact that I thought that was pretty astounding was that the U.S. Surgeon General reported from 2011 to 2015 that between high school and middle school students there was about a 900% increase in e-cigarette use. So that just goes to show how they're becoming much more prevalent. In this was from 2011 to 2015, but they're becoming very popular, especially for this age group, and it's important to educate the youth on the potential health complications associated. I used an article that I found from the Pediatric Journal. It was titled Perceptions of E-Cigarettes and Non-Cigarette Tobacco Products Among the U.S. Youth. This article surveyed middle school and high school students in the United States, and it used their perceptions and their beliefs about the products. And it showed that approximately about 73% of students 6th grade to 12th grade had believed that e-cigarettes were less harmful than traditional cigarette smoking. The perceptions that it found that were associated with it were also that they're less harmful and less addictive. So this kind of backed up my beliefs, and that these students aren't really well educated on the potential health risk. So that is why I chose my topic. My first slide of my PowerPoint for these students went over the different types of e-cigarettes. So I have a picture there, and it shows the potential different e-cigarettes. Many of them are made to look fun and tempting. They're various colors, shapes, and sizes. They can be very, very tiny to fit in pockets, and they can be as small as like a USB drive, so about an inch big. The slide goes over the many different names that they have. So they can be called e-hookahs, vape pens, mods, jewels. There's many different names that they can be associated with, and this slide kind of goes over all of that. My next slide kind of goes over the popularity among high school students. So there's a little graph there from the CDC, and it shows that about 27.5% of high school students use the e-cigarettes, compared to about 5.8% that use the traditional cigarettes. E-cigarettes are most popular among high school and middle school students in the United States, and in 2018 more than 3.6 million middle and high school students had admitted to using e-cigarettes within the last 30 days when they were surveyed. And that was, out of that 3.6 million, it was about 4.9% of middle school students, and then about 20.8% high school students. This is also the use of e-cigarettes and vaping products among the youth is considered an epidemic according to the U.S. Surgeon General. So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed, and that they need to be, these students need to be educated on so they can make proper decisions and know that there are potential health risks to them now and in the future. My next slide goes over the many misconceptions that are associated with these products. So I have that statistic again that we talked about in the beginning of this video, that about 73% from students from 6th grade to 12th grade believed that e-cigarettes are less harmful and less addictive. So I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, that's a lot more than half, and that these students are just not properly educated and don't know potentially what the health risks are. Another misconception that I have listed under there is it's difficult for consumers to know what ingredients are contained in e-cigarettes because they're not regulated by the FDA. So a lot of times they won't have the ingredients listed on the packaging, or it's mislabeled, or false information's printed. So an example that was shown by the CDC was that some e-cigarettes said they contain 0% nicotine, and then when a study was done, they actually did contain nicotine. So it just goes to show that you can't always believe what's on the package because they're not regulated, and it could potentially contain harmful products. There is many different ingredients that are in these products, and they vary, and some can be very harmful to the body. Ingredients that have been found in them have been heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. And you have to remember that you're inhaling these products. Other ingredients have been cancer-causing chemicals, nicotine, THC, chemicals that have been linked to lung disease, vitamin E acetate, and vitamin E acetate, it's found in many meats, cereals, fruits, and vegetables. It also can be used as a vitamin supplement or applied to the skin. So it's thought that it's not harmful because it is found in our foods that we use every day. However, it has been showed in research that when vitamin E acetate is turned into a vapor and vaporized and inhaled into your lung, that it actually causes significant damage to the lungs. It impairs their function and causes damage, and it can reach deep down into your lungs, affecting all the tissues. Another fun fact that I thought was interesting was that one single Juul pod can contain as much nicotine as about 20 cigarettes. And like we discussed earlier, those Juul pods can be about an inch big, even smaller. They're very, very tiny, and they can contain a lot of nicotine. So it's very good to know what you're potentially inhaling into your lungs from these products and how harmful they can be. One of the many health effects from it is the lung damage. Smoking is the leading cause of preventable death from the CDC, and the harmful ingredients in e-cigarettes is turned into vapor, and it can reach deep into the lungs. There currently is a national outbreak of e-cigarette or vaping product use associated lung injury, or it's EVALI for abbreviation. And according to the CDC, as February 18th of 2020, a total of 2,807 patients were hospitalized for this e-cigarette associated lung injury, according to the CDC. These products, especially for adolescents, can cause brain damage. Our brains develop, continue to develop until about age 25, and these e-cigarettes and vaping products can kind of hinder the development for the brain, and different areas that they can affect on the brain are attention control, learning, mood, impulse control, and it can also prime the brain for future addictions. Some other dangers that are associated with e-cigarettes and vaping products are an increased risk for fires, explosions, and some have been known to cause serious burns or injuries, a lot of times to the face. And these products are heated, so they can cause the fires and explosions. Some adults and children have been poisoned by swallowing the liquid that's contained in the single-use pods as well. So a lot of that has been on the uprise as well, with more reports called to poison control. E-cigarettes is also, like we talked about in the last slide, increases your risk for future addictions. And then my last slide goes over the need to change. So we definitely want to continue to educate our youth on the dangers of these products, because according to the CDC, if smoking continues at the current rate that it's at right now, 5.6 million, or about 1 out of every 13, so that's about 1 out of 13 of you, could ultimately die prematurely from smoking-related illnesses. So it is very important to change this and change our habits and educate the youth on the dangers that are associated with e-cigarettes and vaping products, so hopefully we can change that statistic in the future. And then, like we discussed earlier, smoking's the leading cause of preventable death according to the CDC. So it's important to decrease the amount of people that use e-cigarettes and vaping. For my presentation, I also had a pre-test that I would have gave the students before to see what they already knew about e-cigarettes, and then a post-test, which was the same test, but it went over things that were discussed in the slide to see how much they had actually learned. And that's it. Thank you.